let me ask you this. What did a typical Friday, from the beginning of your day to the end, kind of describe it for me?
Well, his was quite different than
All
mine.
right, well, Tony, why don't you?
Yeah, it depends. Like I was working for P&B, Philadelphia National Bank, at Fourth and Market, and I would we'll leave Jersey, go there, and then depending on what's happening that day, he would let me know. Okay,
His dad, he's talking about.
this is you get there by and then I say 4 o'clock. Okay, yeah. And depending on who was going to be there, like she said, different acts or whatever, they had to do different stuff. But that was basically my day, my whole day, getting up, going to work, and then going to see what he had in store for me.
That was when your dad was still alive. So
Yeah.
when you guys started working it together, what did the day look like for you?
Well, in the beginning, I was still working for Bell Atlantic, so I would go to work 5 o'clock, get off, go straight to the bar. And like I said, when I got there, everything was set up. I was just there to greet the musicians, to make sure everything was ready. Well, he did that part, making sure everything was ready as far as the PA system and all the equipment. But I was there, I guess you could just say I was the hostess, really. Greeting and circulating and, mingling and just making sure everybody was happy. That was basically my job.
Now, after you got the first, did Sue Ford handle all the hiring, or
No. She didn't hire.
That
I
was
did
her.
that.
Okay.
She had the connection. It's like, Barbara, how would you like to have so and so? And it's like, can you get them? Yeah. And then she would give me the number. I would do the calling. I would actually do the hiring. And of course, they didn't know. A lot of them didn't know me at the time. So I had to, of course, tell them that Sue Ford gave me a number, and then right away that was all I had to hear,
Exactly.
So, but no, she didn't she didn't hire. I did all of that. And then once word got around, then it went from Eddie to Bootsy to, oh God, who didn't we have? Clyde Terrell and, oh God, it's Pearl Williams. Dar Spears. Oh, we could go on and on. Anybody that was a jazz musician was there. Christian McBride.
What's the pipe
Pieces
player?
of a Dream.
Oh, they
Rufus
started
Harley.
with Grover. We
Rufus
used to
Harley.
have Rufus Harley. That's what
Rufus
I was thinking.
Harley. That's who
Did
you
you
were
all
talking.
have flyers or posters or anything?
Yeah,
that you
we had
circulate?
flyers, and then
Do you have any?
Yeah, do I have
we
any?
had posts. I think we have some pictures maybe of the posters down. Yeah, who would, because I would get a sign made up for who was, I would hire by the month. So each week when you came in, you could see who was there the next week, so.
Now for Eddie's band, he was basically the house band for the jam sessions.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you decide to do a jam session?
And I'm sorry, just to remind everyone, rather than write exactly, you could say, yeah, Eddie's band was the house band, just to keep us
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Eddie's band, we started out with Eddie's band, and then he basically became the house band. And then, of course, everybody would start to come in and sit in. It would be Sid Simmons. Oh my God, it's just so many of them, that. And then, like I said, that became their spot to go to. So it was always a jam session. You never knew who was going to be there. And so Suzanne Cloud could walk in and sit in. And which she has.
And when we get Collins,
As a matter of fact,
Collins.
Don Collins, the trombone player, who ended up being my pulmonologist. Yeah.
What were your biggest challenges in running a jazz club?
I think the biggest challenge for me as far as the artist was kind of finding out or learning who was dependable. I mean, because there were times when I had hired maybe someone and they didn't show up. Thank God it wasn't a lot, but that was my biggest challenge. But once we kind of got on a roll, everybody wanted to be there anyway, so it wasn't too bad. But that was my biggest challenge, just making sure, and that we had everything that
think
they
they need it, right? 'Cause
That was his biggest
a
challenge.
lot of people come through with they want different stuff, and you gotta have
Yeah.
this and you gotta have that, especially sound systems.
Yeah,
you know
and
what I
then
mean?
making sure that the help was there, like Papa John with his Hammond B3.
Right.
That's all he wanted to play. He put, he had to have his Hammond. So
Drag that in.
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
he
He
dragged
had
that-
to,
He had a certain kind of dolly. He would pull it out of his van, and then lift the handles up on the back, and lift it down on another dolly, and then roll it in there. And if you had, like I said, if the crowd was there, then they had to move down the aisle, and like
and our stage wasn't that big, and
That
the
was
Hammond could just about take up. But that's all. Well, that's what he was. That's what he played. So, and he was just always such a big hit. I mean, there was no way we could say there were other organists there, but they were okay with the keyboard. But Papa John
had to have that hammer.
had that Hammond.
Now, financially, how were you doing with the jazz? Because I know you had others. You had a comedy club at one time, right?
We tried comedy. We tried comedy.
We had a downstairs bar
Yeah.
too, so the comedy was always downstairs.
Right.
Well, what was the finances like? I mean, did you usually have a good take with the jazz jam session, or I mean, what
Let's
was
put it this way: our Friday night jam sessions carried us through the week.
Really?
Absolutely. It
Depending
was,
on who it
the
was.
Friday night was
was the best night. Yeah.
yes.
Because usually people would say, "Oh, the jazz is killing us."
No, that was
No, and then I kind of think no, it didn't kill us. I think a lot of that had to do with because everybody enjoyed being it was
that's
just the
where it all
atmosphere.
started at.
It was just the atmosphere. Everybody, it was just so much love there that everybody. I can remember. I don't do. We had a patron named Todd. I don't know if you remember Todd. But I can't think of his last name. But he was a VP at one of the banks downtown, and he used to be so funny because every Friday he was right there at 5:00, and he would always say, all week long I have to go to this place downtown for a meeting, and this place, and this place, and that place. He said, but they know now Fridays I do no meetings, I do nothing because I go to Slim Cooper's.
So by then, you had transitioned from just teachers coming in.
Oh
So
yeah,
anybody.
oh yeah.
like I say, one of them Fridays I get up, Dad tells me you gotta be there early, you gotta be there everybody gotta be dressed, that's when we started with the uniform. Bill Cosby's coming through.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you never
yeah,
knew
right.
who was coming through. You never knew
All of a
who
sudden,
came through.
first one, Bill Cosby. I'm like, oh
You
man.
never knew who came through.
So,
Yeah.
can we just go back a little and talk about your dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said he had the club in North Philly, right?
Right.
He
It's
had a
always
number
What
of
a number of
motivated
them.
him to become an entrepreneur, and where did he get the
Well,
money from to start? Because, I'm thinking at this time there weren't that many black-owned.
Right.
Owned, that's the difference. He was the first one to own his
Actually,
bar.
and the building.
Right.
He was.
That was I don't know what year that was, but he always told me the story. It was an old guy, Jewish guy, and he gave him his first bar, and that was, I think, on Mole Street. And from there, like I said, he worked at Bud's and that there, and like a lot of his army buddies.
Yeah, and I know he used to always say after working at Bud's, he knew that he
Didn't
wasn't
wanna-
cut out to work a job.
Mm-mm.
So I can't honestly say what he did to get his financing.
Yeah, like I said, he did
he
that
was,
with
he was
everything.
a hustler.
Well, he
You
was
know,
making money from the tailor.
Dry cleaner,
that
right?
was- that was
that
part
was the
of it.
first. Well, that's
well,
first
I
knew
think
of.
his money started the dry cleaners too. So
Ah,
yeah,
now do you know what was in the building before? Do you know what was in
before
the
still-
Tree Lounge.
it was called the Tree Lounge.
the tree lounge?
Had a real tree in there. I mean,
Oh,
not
yeah,
a real
it-
tree,
it-
artificial
But,
tree,
yeah,
but
but it was a tree that
was a
actually
tree.
went through.
and the
It
guy's
was
name,
actually in the building.
guy's name was Elwood.
Elwood owned it. Yeah.
That owned it. We was originally at Queen and Pulaski with the Queens
Well, originally,
at Thunderbird.
I thought the first one was the one on Ridge Avenue. It was one on Ridge Avenue. Broad Ridge, I
Oh
think.
no, that was S&B.
No, that was 20th. He had quite a number. He had,
Yeah.
it was one on, I can't remember the name of that one. I think that was his first one. At Broad Ridge. Then he went to Thunderbird. Then he opened the Thunderbird. Then he also had S&B at 20th and Cambria. Then he also had Pulaski Lounge at Queen Lane and Pulaski. And I think from there he went to Slim's.
Right.
Right.
And we was supposed to get the Mark IV, which was on Lomkin Pike,
Right.
but somehow or another is the contracts
Lee-
got.
Lee-
Well, yeah, it was Lee. No, it wasn't Lee.
So we had all these running at the same time?
No.
One. Okay,
As soon as
One
we
after
get
the
rid of
other,
one,
he would open another.
another one.
What did he like about running bars?
I don't know.
He,
I
like
mean,
I said,
that, you know, his life was out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he was in, you know, he was
that was like
a
I
man
said,
about town.
Man
you
about
know,
town.
so-
That was if you're going to have a meet somewhere, you might as well have a meeting spot. So his thing was to have the meeting spot so all his friends and everybody
they,
could
they,
come.
They were gamblers too. You know, they were gamblers.
All the big boys. That's what I call them, the big hat boys. Remember they had to wear the big hat?
Boys, I was gonna say, well, who were some of them?
Yeah.
Have any of their names?
Oh, Sid Booker was
Sid-
one of them.
Sid Booker,
Lorraine Taylor,
Lorraine
Johnny,
Taylor.
Johnny
Sonny-
Kaiser,
Sonny-
Johnny
Sonny Viner.
Sonny Viner. Yeah.
It was
The elite crowd. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
that he was part of that crowd.
that
And
crowd.
they followed him to each bar that he owned? And
Oh
they
yeah,
gave-
Yeah.
yeah. And some of them had their own bars. I mean,
Most
like
of them
Sid
had their
Booker
own
had
bars, his own bar. And,
Sonny Viner had Neats and
Did they
yeah,
have any type of association where
Yeah.
they would meet?
yeah.
absolutely
Puma.
Puma. That was what
Bar
did that stand
owners,
for? It was like a
Philadelphia-
Black Bar Owners Guild, kind of like
And it was called what?
Puma, Pumba. If you give me a minute, I'll think of what it stood for.
So you mentioned your dad was in the military. What,
Branch
He was Army.
Army.
and during what years?
Ooh, that's good. Cool.
I would say early 50s.
50s.
What time, those years?
I would say early,
50s.
yeah, I guess early 50s. Yeah, early 50s. And I guess it was during the Korean War. I know they were it was a
That's
war
when
time.
Eddie went to war.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It was that, yeah, that's what it was.
Now, did you make any long-lasting friends at the bar that are still your friends now? Or?
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
I mean, all of our staff,
Yeah.
Diane, Suzanne, you know, everybody that came through. Unfortunately,
We just lost
Sue is
Cedric
no
from
longer
Pieces
with
of a Dream and him.
So all of the
Oh,
musicians,
everybody.
those who are still with us, we're all still friends when we see each other. Just everybody.
And all his old friends we still friends with.
Those
Sid,
that are still here.
yeah,
Sid is about the only one I think that's left.
and
Sonny
Sonny
still
Rana.
around. So yeah, the friendships have truly lasted over the years. And again, that bond was the music, like jazz music.
Yep, that was the
That was the bond.
So the music that you hired there was primarily what Eddie kind of played?
Straight
hard
ahead,
bop,
straight ahead jazz.
Okay, and was there a reason why you just wanted straight ahead?
Because that's what our clientele wanted. I mean, that was, that's who we started with. That's what they wanted, and they were loyal to us, and we
Be
would stay
loyal to
loyal to
them.
them.
That's right.
Now, was there any nights where there were problems, like for the neighbors, it's too loud, or sometimes bars go through that?
Oh yeah, we went through a lot of that on Staten Avenue.
Oh, I don't
The
remember.
neighbors, well, yeah, because these squash, the neighbors behind the thing would be like
Maybe
parking,
we're parking or something like
yeah,
that.
and
Yeah, parking. But as far as, I mean, and then his dad, and I guess us too, I mean, they took to us. I mean, they actually looked out for us.
yeah.
I mean, we were the bar
After they
that
got to
never
know
got
us.
robbed, that never got, because the neighborhood looked out for us.
Especially
Even the youngsters,
police,
the
lot
police,
of-
the police were there all the time
all
too.
the time.
So, because they enjoyed the music, yeah, it was a lot of police.
14th, 35th was right
Yeah.
there. That was the dividing line right there, Stanton and Johnson.
Yeah, 14th district, 35th
Fifth
district.
I gave a part. I can remember giving a party one night for the 14th district, and the bar's supposed to close at 2:00 in the morning. Doors wide open, people sitting out on the curb. Somebody said, "How you do this?" I said, "Everybody here is cops, so who's going to stop them?"
Yeah, the clientele. I mean, we had the law enforcement, including judges. They were all there. So there wasn't any problems. It
I
was
loved it.
just love. It was love.
So you did a lot by word of mouth. People coming in by word.
Word of
What
mouth,
kind of
advertisement. Well, of course, thanks to Sue and her connections, we were able, we would buy by the month. There used to be WRTI,
OTI.
and they had a lunchtime session. Like Tiffany, what was her name? Tiffany,
I forget
I
it.
can't remember her last name.
Not Tiffany Brown, no.
It wasn't Brad. I can't remember her last name, but Tiffany, you know who I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
She was the lunchtime host. So we bought advertising from WRTI. And it was daily. We sponsored the lunchtime. And there were times when we had lines around the corner where people, depending on who the artist was, because we would advertise on the radio, where people had come from Harrisburg and Scranton. And, you know what I mean? It was like, wow, we can't get all these people in. But we managed, and people had no problem with standing up because, it wasn't that big of a place, but it held everybody. But the advertising was, and then, of course, Daily News every Friday, how they would have their section of where to go, and the hotels, we had ads in the hotels, their little, what to do, what to see in Philadelphia, that kind of thing. So we did a lot of advertising.
Well, did you ever have a cover charge in there?
No, we didn't do a cover charge.
Why did you decide?
We didn't do a cover charge. That was just my preference. I just didn't like the fact of having to pay to walk through the door. But what we did do was while the music was playing, we upped everything $1.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of took up for the cover charge. As a matter of fact, it worked out better than the cover charge. So, and everybody knew that, from 5 to 9, drinks went up $1. But no, there was no cover. We never did a cover.
Now, did you have any competition in your area? I know there were a couple clubs in Germantown and Mount Airy that were going about the same time. And Tony Williams was working one night. Wasn't he?
Lakey's. Tony was at Lakey's for a while. I'm not going to say it was competition because no matter what, everybody still
Okay.
came to Slim's from 5 to 9. They may have went up to Lakey's at 9 o'clock, but nothing stopped them from coming.
And then there was a chance we started to buy Lakey's.
Yeah, but then, and one other one we forgot though, we did have Toro's, which was up the street
from Lakey's.
on Staten. And we used to do music there Who used to play there on? It wasn't the straight ahead jazz though.
Nah, I wasn't.
Who? It was a arpeggio.
Arpeggio.
That's who it was. That was straight ahead. Yeah, arpeggio played there. Used to play there all the time.